Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coffee and Sports in the Morning, right here on Wide Wide Network. I'm your host, Mr. William D. Morgan, along with my co-host, my man Mo Better. Mo Better, what's up?
Hey, morning, Will. Morning, chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, welcome everybody to Coffee and Sports in the Morning. Here to talk some sports and have a good time with you guys for the next hour. All right, Mo. So let me go ahead and get right into it. I caught the show in bits and pieces. What were your thoughts on Monday Night Raw last night?
I thought it was a solid show. The show really was about building towards SummerSlam, a little bit more storytelling. The matches, a couple of matches were entertaining. The six man tag with Stephanie McCoy and Rhea Ripley, and EO that was fun. And of course, at the end, you got Roman and Jay going up against Bronson Reed and Ron Breaker, and that's setting up for their tag team match. I mean, it was entertaining. It was fun. Like I said, it's all a setup for SummerSlam. And like I said, overall, I thought it was a solid show. I'm sure that SmackDown is going to continue the theme and build towards storytelling for SummerSlam.
Why they gotta take my boy Roman's shoes like that? That was just disrespectful.
Yeah, that was you don't
That was
you
just
don't
wrong.
that was so petty, but
Yeah,
but
really shoes.
petty and necessary, I guess, at the same time. Like, because that's I've never saw that done before.
Mm-mm,
I
mm-mm.
saw I saw weird things, but they took the man's shoes like he was like they basically mugged him.
That was crazy. That was crazy. Good morning, Sergeant. How you doing? How you doing? Thanks for coming out to the stream. We appreciate
Hey,
you,
good
brother.
morning.
Um, Stephanie Vercur, man, I think she's really gonna be the next big female on that roster. I really think she is, or at least that's what they're trying to build her up to be. Um, and I think she has everything outside of one thing, because to me, in pro wrestling, a pro wrestler needs to be solid in these three things. You got to have the look, you have to be able to go, and you have to be able to cut a promo. Stephanie has two of those things. She has the look, and she can go on the ring. Now, I don't know if you will hold her accent against her, because like they did with Shinsuke, because you remember they did the same thing with Shinsuke Nakamura. They held his accent against him and his non-ability to speak English, which is why, for the life of me, I don't understand why you don't bring back the manager. But I digress. That's a different show. That's a different show for another day. But she has two of the three factors I think a wrestler would have to have. Do you think Stephanie can be the next big thing on the women's roster?
Without a doubt. And you're right. Normally, a key factor is, can you cut a promo? Um, can you deliver the build up and storytelling? And that's probably the area that she's weakest in. But I think that I look at her the way you would look at a talented rookie in pro football or baseball or basketball, right? You're like, they're talented, but they need a vet, right? They need a vet to kind of like keep them on the path. And I have no problem with her accent. It really comes down to, can she cut a promo convincingly? I will say this though, Io is one of the most talented wrestlers I've ever seen,
Yes, she is.
and she's won the belt multiple times, and she's never been good at cutting promos.
True.
It's not a strength of hers. So I think if Io can be at the level that she has, which is as high as anybody, certainly Stephanie McCoy could do it. I'm with you. If you struggle cutting promos, that there is a major part of what the manager can do, especially
Exactly.
especially the manager that's gifted on the microphone. I look at the great managers the way I look at great MCs, right? They can spit. Yeah, I'm with you, Side.
That was wrong.
Taking the man's shoes was low,
Yeah,
and yet
disrespectful.
I'm not gonna lie, I was entertained. It was
Yeah.
it was wild and it was entertaining. But yeah, the managers are NCs, right? They can spit. They just got to gift the gab. I think there's still value in the manager. The right manager with Stephanie McCoy, rocket ship to the top.
Yeah, straight to the top because she's got everything else in her arsenal. Her ground game solid. She doesn't do it often, but she can come off the top for an aerial attack. She has everything, all the look, the gifted tools. She has everything. If you give her a good manager, a good mouthpiece, man.
Here's the scary thing about her. Because of her talent, she's already talented enough in the ring.
Yep.
She does have her own unique look. She could leapfrog other talented female wrestlers right now that are already ahead of her. Like Tiffany Stratton is wearing the belt, but Tiffany Stratton as a face, that didn't work.
No,
that does not work.
No.
But a good rivalry that could be a rivalry a lot like Randy Orton and Cena, where they come up the same time and they're constantly like basically going against each other. I could see Tiff and Stephanie McCoy being that, right? Yeah. I could see that. I could throw in a Jade Cargill. I could see a trio like that being part of the next wave because I think she's that gifted.
Yes. Now, moving on to the NFL. Mo, I want you to tell me what is going on with the Commanders. These guys are playing, seems to be some type of contract dispute with their best receiver, Terry McLaurin. Where do you see Terry McLaurin in the picking order of receivers, and why the Commanders won't sign him to the deal that he wants?
I think he's been one of the better receivers in football he's been in the league a minute. He's not a rookie, but what I would call him, he's one of the most consistent performers in terms of production year in and year out.
Yes.
If you ask me, is he a top 10 wide receiver? He might be top 10. If he's not top 10, what is he, 11? Like he's a gifted wide receiver. If you're running the numbers game, because I know somebody put out, I think he's got 5,000 or 6,000 yard receiver seasons, which those are good, but I don't know if he's a 1,200, 1,300 yard receiver. So I think they value him, but I don't know if his own franchise values him as a top 10 receiver.
Right.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about how they see him.
Right.
They're looking at him like, yeah, I get you want to raise, but you're not really suggesting that you make CeeDee Lamb money, right? Because we don't think you're CeeDee Lamb. We don't. My argument, if I was his agent, would be, well, he's got to be at least Brandon Ayuk. Can he get Ayuk money? Because Ayuk got a nice contract.
Yeah,
and I would agree with that. He's that. He might be better. To me, if you're a team like Washington and they've done everything right other than this situation with the contract, you're set up to compete for your division and be one of the powers in the NFC. But this kind of stuff right here, this what stunts everything. This what kind of messes things up. I would get this over with. Pay the man his money. Pay the man his money. Your young quarterback, the most reliable guy he has is Terry McLaurin. Yep. They've already got a chemistry. Don't mess up a good thing. If it's not broke, don't try to fix it. Don't overthink it. Don't mirror what Dallas does when it comes to dealing with contracts and stuff. Be better than that. This is supposed to be a new ownership group. Do something different from the previous group, because this thing about the contract, this feels more like the old regime. And I thought this was going to be a whole new thing.
Right.
They're set up to be one of the better teams in the NFC East, or the NFC period, Will. But what you don't want is this kind of lingering situation, because it gets into your locker room.
Oh yeah. You do not want this to linger. And without Terry McLaurin, I don't know if that receiving core gets as much respect during game time. I mean, you got Noah Brown on the other side, but he's not exactly he's young and promising, but he's not exactly that guy, at least not yet.
And anyway. you got Debo. And yep. I feel like maybe that's the problem with their ownership or the front office, the GM, they're like, well, we got Debo, so if McLaurin doesn't come in, or we're going to be good. No, no, you're not going to be good. You're not going to be.
You ain't
Debo,
gonna be good.
Debo, look, I can tell you all the good things about him. He is terrific with the football in his hands after the catch.
Right.
He can run the football almost like a running back. He's that hard to bring down. What he is not is he's not a great route runner. He's never been a great route runner, and
No.
he's not a burner. So he's not a number one. If you don't have Terry McLaurin and you go out there with Debo and Brown, you're going to struggle. Your young quarterback is going to struggle. You need to get McLaurin in there so everybody can be in their proper role. Debo's the 2, Brown's the 3, and you got a clear number 1.
People laughed at me when I said last year that I was the better receiver between him and Debo. People laughed at me. Y'all gonna see it this year. I know Ayuk is hurt, but y'all gonna see what Debo does with the Commanders. And the only way I can see Debo really being successful was on trick plays. Trick plays, maybe some screens here and there where his responsibility isn't catching the football, but carrying it as a running back. And when Ayuk comes back, you're gonna see that Ayuk is the better receiver. I've always said that.
I have to. Trust me. I've had arguments with people over who was the better receiver. They still hang on to that one blip season that Debo had, where everything went right for him. But he was never a great route runner. What he is like I said, he when he gets in space with his speed and power, it's like a gifted running back in space. But yeah, Debo Samuels was never a top 10 wide receiver at no point in his career.
Oh,
he
no.
had a great season, and he's never been able to come close to replicating that season.
All right, Mo, moving on. I want you to talk to me next about what is going on with the Raiders and Christian Wilkins. Apparently, part of the reason why he was released from his contract and all that guaranteed money, and this is just partly because he kissed a player on the forehead. Now, before y'all say I'm hating, I'm not hating. Whatever you are in terms of the L, the P, the T, the Q, whatever you are, that's good. Hey, that's good. Be you, do you. Got no problem with that. But to me, and we're both older guys, when did they start playing like this in an NFL locker room? Because understand, there's a time where you have to be able to read that room and see who you can play with and who you can't play with like that. And I don't know of any dudes that you can play with like that. None. So, and now from what I understand, he's going to the Players Association to try to get the money that he was guaranteed. He's trying to get that money back because he feels that he owes it, but that he's owned it. Sorry, that it belongs to him. But what's going on with Christian Wilkins? Because apparently he's also recovering from an injury, and the team also wanted him to go through another surgery. So what's going on there?
I feel like this situation is murkier. I don't think it's that clear because I feel like they're using the incident where he kissed the other player as the catalyst for firing him, right? Like, versus the situation with the surgery, and I guess there's been some disagreement or discord between his representatives, the team, and that whole thing. And I think that's the real reason why they released him. Look, I'm of the opinion like this. I don't care what your livelihood is, whether it be professional sports, you should be comfortable in your own skin and be who you are.
Yes. Amen.
But it also works the other way around. Like you said, you have to read the room and know what other people are comfortable with too. And I don't, if a guy is not comfortable with you kissing him or whatever, if that's out of his comfort zone, you need to read the room or respect that. So I feel like the Raiders used that though as an excuse. I think they just wanted to be done with him because of the holdup and the whole situation about the surgeries. Which means to me, if he does go to the NFLPA, I think he's got a good case.
Yeah.
Because it just seems shady how they dealt with him.
Oh yeah.
That whole situation seems shady to me.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Wilkinson play, by the way, good against the run.
Right.
He can play, and you just have to be careful on who you play with like that. Because again, I don't know any dude you can play with like that. None.
Right.
So you have to be able to read that room and act accordingly.
Right. But
What's up, Gene? How you doing, brother?
Right. But if you're a professional, if you're a professional athlete, I'm judging you strictly on what you do on the field.
Exactly.
Or how you comport yourself in the locker room. Your personal life is your personal life. You know what I mean? Like, as a fan, that's where I draw the line. Long as you're not, I don't find out that you're dealing with the police because you're on some kind of blotter report all the time. Like, you're that kind of a troublemaker.
Right.
If you're not doing something that's outside of the scope of the law, your personal life is your personal life. I'm simply going to look at you and go, terrific player or not a terrific player, terrific teammate or not a terrific teammate. I'm only going to judge you in that vein. And no one would know you better than your teammates. Vice versa. Like I said, you got to know your teammates. Like, old boy right there, that's just how we play around. He knows. It's funny, right? We get down like that. But that new dude that just came in, the rookie, he ain't feeling it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know that.
All right. Yesterday, Deion Sanders had a news conference yesterday saying that he is cancer-free after having his bladder removed. I'm glad he's healthy. I thought that conference was going to be about him retiring from coaching. But it was a health update. Looks like he's going to come back to coaching. But have you seen that Colorado Buffalo schedule? That's a tough schedule. Oh man. That's a tough schedule. He's gonna have to be ready. Do you think the Buffaloes contend in that conference this year or no? Because I don't think so.
I think Coach Prime could get some Coach of the Year consideration if they have a better than 500 record. You know what I mean? Like, and that's saying a lot because people don't realize how much Shedeur and Hunter meant to them because they're special talents.
Yep.
And they didn't replace them with special talents. Like, they brought in some. They have a nice recruiting class, but there's nobody with huge impact that's going to pop, I think, immediately.
No.
And this is going to be one of those years where Coach Prime is going to have to be on his A game as a coach and his coaching staff. Because I think Colorado's in for a long season.
Oh yeah, I do too. Let's head over to the world of the Dallas Cowboys. We got Jake Ferguson getting a contract extension the other day. But my thing is, Mo, why are you going to extend Jake Ferguson but not extend Michael Parsons or give him the new deal he's looking for? I don't get it.
Look, I've been saying for years, I think other people have too, the Joneses would probably be better off still being the owners, but letting somebody else handle the day-to-day operations.
Right.
Letting somebody else be the GM, letting somebody else be in the draft room and the war room and do all those kind of things. They love the power, but they don't love the fact that you got to put in the grind and you got to be able to relate to players. The comment that Stephen Jones made, the line where he said, we want to pay Micah Parsons, but Micah's got to want to be paid, is one of the dumbest lines I've ever heard. Of course he wants to be paid. Of course he wants to be paid. And if it was as simple as he wanted to be paid, the man would have a contract in front of him, he'd sign it, and we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Exactly.
They stumble over their own feet, and they've been doing it for the better part of 30 years. There's a reason they haven't played an NFC Championship game in ever. And look, every great organization or bad organization, it starts at the top. And look, Dallas has been kind of eroding since they fired Jimmy Johnson.
Yep.
They've stayed just relevant enough. They've been just good enough at times to where they tease their fan base and go, "This is the year." And they go that every year, and it's never been the year. And spoiler alert, this year, not going to be the year. So if you're a Cowboy fan, I get it because you're a fan. Look, I'm a Niners fan. Do I think the Niners are going to win 11, 12 games? No. Look at the talent.
Yeah.
You can tell me all you want about Robert Saleh and what he could do with the defense, and the defense might be very good. But talent also wins football games, and they don't have a lot of offensive talent.
No.
And they don't have one of the best offensive lines in football. that to me is a recipe for a struggling offense. And if your offense struggles, I don't care how good your defense is, it eventually impacts the defense too.
Wait a minute, hold on. Don't tell Cole's Cowboys that. It's just a shame, man, because Michael Parsons is your best defensive player. And for you not to have him taken care of by now is just crazy. It's just ridiculous. Got to do better, Jared. Got to do better.
I go further than that. He's their best player.
Yeah.
When you look at what he is to his position versus what Dak is at his position, or like CD's one of the elite wide receivers, but he's not the best. Dak's a very good quarterback. Arguably, he's top 10. If he's not 10, he's 11. But he's not the best. Michael Parsons is at a minimum top 3 at his position, at a minimum. And you could argue if we're projecting, because the other two dudes that are ahead of him, they're older than him. He's just getting ready to hit his prime.
Right.
So I can see him leading the league in sacks for the next 3, 4, or 5 seasons, provided he stays healthy. Why would you hold that up? Why would you not pay that man?
I don't get it. I don't understand it, but we'll see how things come. We'll see how things roll out. In the meanwhile, we got some noise down in Denver, Colorado. Courtland Sutton signs a new 4-year, $92 million extension with the Denver Broncos. Can the Broncos make some noise in that division?
I think they can. I don't think it's a lock, but the potential is there. Look, talented young quarterback, head coach is known to be a quarterback whisperer, especially if he can work with a young quarterback and mold him, which I think is a strength of Sean Payton. So this works out well. I think that marriage will work. Courtland Sutton is actually one of the more underrated playmakers in football.
He is,
especially when you get him in the red zone. So I think he's going to have a big season. I think he's going to have a big season, and his chemistry, along with what they do defensively, if they can have at least a decent run game, because right now they're doing running back by committee. But if it works that way, I think Denver is a player in the West. Like that, when you look at the AFC West right now, we always start everything off with the Chiefs, but here come the Chargers, here come the Broncos. And while I don't think the Raiders are a playoff team, I think they're going to be coached well enough to where you're going to have to come in with your A game and not just assume you get a win.
I think the Raiders, I agree with you on the Raiders. I think they can definitely play spoiler. Ashton Genty is going to come in there and do some things. I think they can definitely play spoiler. But with Evan Ingram in the mix for the Broncos, I kind of like what Denver can do. They got a good defense down there. They got some changes at running back. I believe R.G. Harvey will probably win that starting spot with Javonte going over to the Cowboys. But I think Denver might be able to cause a little bit of noise there. They might be able to cause a little bit of noise.
Look, Evan Ingram gives them a vertical threat at the tight end spot. Which, by the way, again, if you know anything about Sean Payton, he likes tight ends that can get down the field. He does. That's a big part of what they utilize them well in his system. So
Jimmy Graham.
Yes, Jimmy Graham. Like I said, don't sleep on Denver. I still think the AFC North is like a war zone, but I think the AFC West is going to be just as good.
Agreed. Next thing I want to get into, going to talk about probably the worst ran football team in the NFL, besides the Cowboys, that'd be the Cincinnati Bengals. They just signed Shamar Stewart to his rookie deal, gave him his guaranteed money. They took that language out of the contract that him and his agent was talking about. The thing it kills me though, Mo, is the fact that they wanted this kid to be the first person to go through those contract terms. You didn't do it for Joe Mixon, who you remember when Joe got drafted and came into the league, how questionable his character was taken or was to be received. They didn't put that in his contract. And of course, you didn't do it for Joe Burrow. You didn't do it for anyone else, T. Higgins. You didn't do it for anybody else, but you want this kid to come in there and be the first. It's just more, not just the Bengals being cheap, because I think they are a cheaply ran organization as well. But do you think this is more of a show of power from the Bengals?
I want to say this with great clarity for everybody that's listening out there, everybody that's in the chat. Honestly, I think this is a case of dumbassery. Just a blatant case of dumbassery. And by the way, there is no known cure for it. Relationships matter in sports, and I get where management has to play their role, the player has to play their role, but your first impression, your first dealings with somebody, that will stick with them.
Mm-hmm.
That will stick. It will stick with them throughout the relationship. And the way they've introduced themselves,
Morning, Key.
Hey, good morning, Key, and handled themselves with this young man, that impression that they've left on him, it is going to be marked on his. He will not forget this encounter of how they dealt with him, right?
Right.
And what if he turns into one of the elite players in football? That relationship will be even more contentious because of how they've treated him initially. Cincinnati is historically ran bad because they don't get the value of building relationships with your players. They got it right with Joe Burrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you and I could get it right with Joe Burrow. We're not professional GMs. That's just common sense. Franchise quarterback. What do you need? What do you want? I got you.
Yep.
They even went so far as to sign both receivers. Both receivers got their money.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I'm not hating. I don't know if I would have went that route, but both receivers got their money. Team, you have to be willing to spend money. You alluded to the fact that Cincinnati has been financially thrifty over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a reason why Joe Burrow hasn't played in the AFC title game, and it's not because Joe Burrow doesn't have the talent or the toughness to lead a team to an AFC title game. It's because his front office has shortchanged in other areas. They don't want to put out the money. What's the line? Scared money don't make money.
Right.
And Cincinnati's ownership and management have been scared money for over 25 years or longer. You would like to think they could get it together.
Mm-hmm.
But we talk about consistency. If your franchise is run the way it's been run, the fact that Joe Burrow took them to a Super Bowl on a fluke, right? We call that a blip, right? That was a blip.
Oh yeah.
But that was about Joe Burrow. That wasn't about man, they ran well. But think about this: if you ran your franchise well, if you establish better relationships with your players, what you could do. Will, you and I say this all the time. It always starts at the top, at the very top. And despite how poor the very top is, Joe Burrow and company make the Bengals relevant despite that.
Yep. And Key, I agree with you. I wouldn't have signed T. Higgins back either. I would have traded him.
I would have invested. I love T. Higgins, but I think as good as he is replaceable.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have invested even more in my offensive line.
You got a dude right now, I cannot remember his name, who's third string right behind him. I would have gave him more playing time and traded that pick, get some help for that line, Joe Burrow needs to be protected. And that's what I would have done. Now, again, offensive line is shot. You hadn't even signed your top defensive player in Trey Hendrickson back as of yet. That's stupid. Up to he should take whatever we give him. No, you give him the going rate for his position.
And remember, he's your best defensive player. I think what did Hendrickson go for? 15, 17 sacks or something of that, and something like that.
Yep.
What is your defense going to look like without him?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they got a guy. We don't have to double team him. So now, instead of putting up 40 against the Bengals, we'll probably drop 50 plus or whatever. Like, that's crazy. That I don't understand that. And by the way, I am a T. Higgins fan.
Love T.
But I try to imagine if I'm a GM and what I want my team to be and how I spend my money. I can't invest that kind of money. I get it in Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
I do. And it's not that T. Higgins isn't, to me, a top level number 2, and he could be a number 1 maybe in some other places, but I can't pay that much money knowing all the holes that I have in other areas, starting with the offensive line.
Right. He can come to the Saints right now being number 1. Right now.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing. So you got Joe Burrow, you got the wide receivers, but if the offensive line is garbage, I don't know how good your season is going to be, because that means your season is hinging on Joe Burrow being upright, not taking a beating.
Yep. Bengals got to put up 40 points plus just to try to win. That defense is going to lose them games. I agree. I agree.
And look, that might be a strategy, but allowing your quarterback to take the kind of punishment that Joe Burrow takes, that's not sustainable. Not if you want him around for the long term.
Right. It's a terrible ran organization. Hopefully they do get that together. All right, Mo, I'm going to switch gears for a second, run over to Major League Baseball. Bro, I got to get me a Bryce Harper jersey. I got to. Rob Manfred went over to a team meeting. And Bryce Harper told him, get the F out.
Did he really?
He told him, get the F out. Bro, I got to get me a Bryce Harper jersey. Now, I'm a Mets fan. I got to get me a Bryce Harper. I got to now. Man, oh, my goodness.
Bryce Harper is one of one. He's that dude.
He the man in Philly, man.
Wow. If you say that, you're the man everywhere you go.
Yep.
Well, he needs to go ahead and get that T-shirt that says he's him.
Oh, yeah. Facts. That was hilarious. We tell Rob Manfred that all the time on the Sports Report when we in go FFL Rob Manfred. But and now we're gonna say the same thing for Billy Donovan. We'll get at him in a minute. But but I thought that was he's goated, man. And I got to get me a jersey and wear it on the air. I gotta get me a jersey now. Oh man, that was amazing. On a sadder note, though, Hall of Famer and Cup star Ryan Sandberg passes away at age 65. We talked a little bit about that on Sports Report last night. Good dude, for all accounts that I know of. He will be missed. One of the greatest Cubs I've seen. And again, 65, man. Woo.
That's too early. Look, rest in peace, Rhino. Great player, great ambassador to the game, a pro's pro.
Yeah, he'll never put a salary cap in. Never.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
That ain't never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. There be too much money in baseball.
Right.
Way too much money.
And not with that union.
No.
Their union. That is the goated union.
Oh yeah. Best union, you could make an argument. Best union in sports. You make the argument.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Made that argument for sure. So he tried to come into the locker room. Harper wasn't having it. Hey, like I said, the man is goated. The man is goated. All right, let's roll over to
embarrassing, man. That's embarrassing as heck. I'm just gonna imagine who you are. You're the commissioner. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Somebody,
yeah. Yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible, but he is goaded for it. Let's go over to the NBA real quick. Got some stuff here in the NBA. And Mo, you keep up with the NBA more than anyone I know. Um, can the Orlando Magic be a sleeper in the East?
I don't think they'll be a sleeper. I think there's high expectations. I think the Magic, if they're not one of the top 4 teams in the East, they've had a disappointing season.
Mm.
The addition of Desmond Bain to go with those two bookend forwards, Bankero and Wagner. I think Orlando is going to be a top 4 team, and if they can get solid bench play, because that's going to be the key.
Yep.
They're going to be a scary team to watch. Remember, Paolo isn't even at the best version of himself, Will.
Nope.
Paolo's getting better. Franz is getting better. Like, they're both coming into themselves. Like, I don't even think Paolo's fully went into his man body. Like, I think he's actually going to get stronger and be more dominant in the post. He already can face you up and take you off the dribble, but
yep.
I think his post game is going to be much improved too. Look, if he becomes a more efficient shooter and starts using his strength more to get to the foul line, which I think he will, Orlando's going to be scary. I'm not sure Orlando doesn't overtake Cleveland, because a lot of people think Cleveland will be a top 2 team. Mm-hmm. I think Orlando might overtake Cleveland.
Oh yeah, you're right about that, Key. I forgot that. We're gonna get into WNBA in a minute because our girl came back, Key. We talked about it yesterday. Our girl came back. We're gonna get into WNBA in a minute. But I forget how young Pablo still. I keep forgetting how young he is.
That's what I mean. Like, he's nowhere near even hitting his prime, and he's already this impactful a player.
Yep.
You put him in Wagner, and now you add what they add with Desmond Bain. I think Bain's going to give you more leadership. He's going to give you toughness, and obviously he gives you a shooter and a playmaker. He can be a secondary playmaker. I like Orlando. Like, there's teams that you want to see on TV a lot. All of a sudden, I'm looking at Orlando and go, I want to see Orlando on TV more.
Where would you put, since the East is a little bit weaker, where would you put Boston in the Eastern Conference? 6th, 7th?
I think Boston is still going to be a playoff team. I do. I think they're going to be a playoff team. Not a contender, but good enough to make the playoffs. I think they do. I think they do make the playoffs. This is a year.
Thank you, brother.
Where Jaylen Brown, I can see Jaylen Brown having a year where he averages 27, 28 points a game.
Oh yeah.
A big offensive year for him. Some of the pieces that Brad Stevens let go and then replaced, those were good moves, and they're smart moves. The moves that Brad Stevens made in the offseason were all about the Celtics' future.
Yep.
So they were smart moves. I think they stay relevant enough to make the playoffs. I think they're good enough with what they still have remaining to make the playoffs.
It's gonna be one heck of a season, particularly for the Eastern Conference, because it could go any way. It can go any way, truthfully.
It's not as clear. The East is like the West. It's pretty clear the better teams in the West. The East is not clear because we don't say Philly's going to be one of the best teams in the East because we just assume Embiid and Paul George are going to get hurt, right? We just assume that,
right?
But what if they don't? Especially Embiid. What if Embiid is just he comes back and he's not at a superstar level, but say he's an all-star? Because I think Maxey is ascending. He's coming up.
Yes.
I think McCain is going to be nice. And then the young man they just got from Duke I think he's nice. The more I watch him play, the more I think I see another version of Dwayne Wade.
Six is going to be in a play-in.
I think look, if they can keep the older players relatively healthy, they're gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna make the playoffs outright.
Yeah. If they can keep them healthy,
right?
They're gonna make the playoffs outright. And Paul George can stay off the podcast. Other than that, I think that they can definitely make the playoffs with a healthy Embiid and a healthy Paul George. It's gonna be weird, man. Even the Hawks can be a contender this year. in the East as far as making the playoffs.
No, I think they could. I think the Hawks could be. It's so wide open, right? There's a void, right? We know Indiana not going to be the same team. We know Boston won't be the same team, but I still think they'll be good enough. I don't know if the Pacers even make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. A tall order.
Because Halliburton gone for the year,
yep.
And you lost Miles Turner.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know if they even make the playoffs. So there's a void and an opening there at the same time.
Joel is going to be back on his terms.
Yeah, and I've heard him say that. My thing is he's still a valuable player if he's healthy.
Right.
I just think they need to give the keys to Maxey in the younger core and make Embiid more of a compliment so he doesn't wear down so easy.
Right. Pistons getting Ivy back. That's a good point too. Yes. Because what Ivy does is he gives Cade a running mate. Mm-hmm.
Okay? They had everything but a running mate for Cade. A healthy Ivy gives Detroit a running mate. And we almost forget. Yeah, I think Orlando's going to be terrific, but Cade Cunningham with a healthy Ivy bringing back the core that they had, I think Detroit's a team to watch too.
Oh yes, this is going to be definitely going to be interesting. Definitely. All right, let me go back to the NBA, going over to the Western Conference. Let me ask you this: are the Rockets the best team KD has ever played for, or would it be that Warriors team?
It's the Warriors. I mean, I think the Rockets are a good basketball team, and depending on the continued development of the younger players that they have, they're definitely going to be a contender in the West. But the best team he ever played for is Golden State. There's no debating that. Remember, he went to a team that already been to the finals, couple of finals.
Yep.
He went to the team that whooped his ass. So. Yeah, the Warriors are the best team he's ever played for. Look, I get it. You add him to the Houston team, and immediately people go, the Rockets should be the favorite in the West. No, the favorite in the West should be the defending champions.
Yep.
And I'm going to go with teams that I've seen do it versus teams that might do it. Right. I wouldn't put the Rockets ahead of the Nuggets because of what they did in the offseason. They addressed their weakness. They had no bench. Well, they addressed that.
Yep.
So they addressed, I thought, one of the bigger elephants in the room with Michael Porter Jr. by getting rid of him and bringing in Cam Johnson, who has a similar skill set, but is a better overall player.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think Houston will be really good, but I wouldn't put them ahead of either one of those teams.
Gotcha. Let me get the Keys question here. How will Luka play it by now since he's lost weight?
I think, look, here's the scary thing about Luka. Luka took a team to the finals when he wasn't in great shape.
Yep.
So healthy Luka, to me, should be an early MVP candidate. But the question I would have as a Laker fan is, does healthy Luka play better defense than not healthy Luka? Because you can still be fit and not be a good defender.
Right. Which I don't think he'll ever be.
Right. And I'm not asking him to be a lockdown defender. I'm just saying just be competitive on the defensive end of the ball. That's all.
Right.
Just be competitive. You don't have to be a lockdown defender. Just be competitive. And I think he's capable of that. The fact that he embraced the idea of I need to get in better shape as I get older. And that's funny to say from a guy who just turned 27.
Yeah.
But so he's just going into his prime, but he recognizes as I get older, I need to be a better version of myself. Yeah, I think that's him saying, I'm ready to take over and be the face of the Lakers and lead the way. That's leadership. He was the one that recruited Marcus Smart. That's leadership.
Yep.
So I think Luka's ready to take over and be the face of the next version or iteration of the Lakers going forward.
All right. Want to let you know something here. Kobe Bryant's sneakers have sold his first start sneakers, the sneakers he wore during his first start, was sold the other day, $240K. Good Lord, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, man. But I remember that kid.
Mm.
I remember watching that kid play. I'll never forget the playoff series versus the Jazz.
Yep. Yep.
Very good series, and they put him in. Del Harris puts him in late in the game.
Mm.
It's a 1-point game, and Kobe shoots not one, not two, but 3 air balls.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, as I'm watching, I'm like, no, because I'm thinking you don't go to him. You have Eddie shoot that or Nick Van Exel shoot that.
Yep.
But the fact that a kid who was 18 years old in that situation, in those moments, was not afraid to pull it. Not just once, but 3 times.
Yep.
And I remember Del Harris in the post game saying, "You got to," and he's telling you why because they're like, "Why did you, go to Bryant Kobe like multiple times and he airballed the previous student?" And Del Harris was like, "You don't understand. This kid can get his shot whenever he wants. He's the only guy on the team that can get his shot whenever he wants."
Oh yeah.
And I didn't at the time. Even then, I didn't disagree with anything Del Harris said. Del Harris saw something early that a lot of people didn't see. And so Ricky Kobe, he didn't have as much success or put up the numbers that other rookies did coming in, but Ricky Kobe gave you signs of what was to come.
Now, I want to ask you about that team too, because I think Eddie Jones, criminally underrated.
You're preaching to the choir. You could argue. So Kobe's second year, you could argue that Lakers team, when you talk about talented teams, it's one of the most talented teams that didn't win maybe in NBA history.
Yep.
Eddie, Nick Van Exel, Shaq, and Kobe all make the All-Star team that year. Kobe makes the All-Star team as a sixth man. But that team also had Eldon Campbell.
Yep.
And Robert Horry and Peeler. I think they had Cedric Sabal. Like, it was a loaded team.
Yep.
Loaded team.
Yep.
And they go into the playoffs and they meet the Jazz, the old, slow, plodding Jazz. And all the Jazz do with 2 All-Stars is sweep them.
Yep. They did.
I'm just telling you, I witnessed it. If you're a Lakers fan, that series was slow torture because every game came down to the fourth quarter, and every fourth quarter the Jazz just out execute. They literally just out-thought them, out-executed the Lakers.
Yep.
And that goes to show you, as much as athleticism and talent play a role in basketball, if you're not fundamentally sound, if your guys aren't mentally tough like that, you can still lose. Like, think about that team. It's John Stockton and Karl Malone and a bunch of dudes.
Yep.
Versus the 4 guys I named and a better bench, and they swept them.
I don't remember. Was Hornacek on that Jazz team then?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't remember.
And remember, Kendrick Perkins he's a plumber.
Oh yeah, he did say that.
That plumber, for whatever reason, was giving Eddie Jones hell.
Yep.
Nick Van Exel is one of the quicker guards you'll ever see, and John Stockton was all up in that. I'm just saying, if you know the game, you know the game.
Oh yeah, facts. Oh, there you go, Key. Byron Rupp. There you go.
Brian Russell was getting up into people. They had Shandon Anderson, like that. They were just a well-coached machine. They didn't get to those 2 finals by accident.
No, well-coached machine that got after it.
Yeah,
got after it.
Well, and was willing to do. Everybody on their team was willing to do the little things to win.
Yep.
And that's kind of a lost art in today's NBA.
We got about 10 minutes, guys, going into the show before we get on out of here. Mo, staying in the NBA, I wanted to ask you, what can the Warriors do to maximize the rest of Steph Curry's career?
They're a move away to me from being title contenders. And I think the moves will center around what they do with Jonathan Kuminga. Your Bulls, your team have a lot of interest in Kuminga. And I think that the Warriors, they would do well to try to seek out a deal with the Bulls. The Bulls have pieces that if I'm the Warriors, I want. The Warriors are a team, if you watch them play historically, they're all about body and ball movement.
Yep.
Well, nobody moves the ball as well as Josh Giddey. I think Josh Giddey is a perfect fit for the Golden State Warriors, and he gives them some young blood. I think
He
what is
does.
Josh Giddey? 23?
23, 24. Yeah.
Yeah. Needed young talent, super high basketball IQ, and can do everything. Jack of all trades. He's a perfect fit for the Warriors. So I think a move like that would help them. Now, if you're asking me, do I think they can pull off a splash move like bring in another? I don't know about a star.
Yeah.
Maybe another veteran player. Like maybe if the Pelicans buy out CJ, I can see that. What if Portland? What if Portland buys out Drew Holiday? I like Drew Holiday on the Warriors.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I can kind of get with that. Bulls can take pods.
Nobody likes pods. I like pods.
Pods all right.
Pods.
He all right. He's straight. All right. As we finish up the show, do I have anything else on? Oh, I do have something else on basketball. To finish up, should we just go ahead and give, because there's been a lot of noise about him, should we just go ahead and give Rookie of the Year the Cooper flag now? Or is there someone else you feel can overtake him for that award?
So he's gonna walk into the season the overwhelming favorite to be Rookie of the Year, but no, I'm not. I don't think you should just give it to him, because I think there's 3 or 4 guys in his draft class that get it in that could steal it. You know what I mean? Like Edgecombe for the Sixers could steal it from him. Harper with the Spurs might be impactful. Look, he's finally in Utah. Maybe Ace Bailey, just because look, the Jazz are going to be a bad team, but you know what Ace Bailey will be able to do on a bad team? Put up insane numbers.
Yep.
So I don't know if you just give it to him, but I understand why he would be the favorite.
Yeah. You see, Keith says Dylan Harper is going to win. He may just win it. And Key also did remind me, WNBA talk very quickly. Oh yeah, Cameron Brink is back. Oh yeah, I've been waiting for this. Oh yeah, she is back. Cam Brink is back. Yes, sir. Yes, Lord. That's a tall drink of water right there, boy. Woo.
Only thing I can say about Cam Brink is she be on them TikTok streets, man.
She does. But I like her. She gives blocking shots, good rim protector. She's what, 6'5"?
Yeah.
She's 6'5", so she good rim protector. The Sparks do need her. They really do need her, and she is back. So it's good to have her back. Good to see her back. What do you think about the WNBA season as a whole? You think those ladies are playing well?
I think the product they put out on the floor is outstanding. I do. I think that the talent of this year's class, you're seeing it. I just saw Beckers go to town last night.
Yep.
I mean, just put in work on the Liberty. Like nobody could do anything with her, and I was like, she's just a bucket. But it was fun to watch. Look, when you put the world champs on notice, and by the way, the Liberty's lost a couple of bad games recently, but still a team that you expect to make some noise when you're talking about the title situation. But I love watching young up-and-coming players like Paige Beckers. I love watching even Cameron Brink, as you mentioned, her coming back healthy, what she's going to give to the Sparks in terms of her rim protection, her rebounding, and she actually can get you buckets at times. So, look, I think the product that the WNBA puts out is worthy of the fans going out there and supporting them. Like you're going to support a good product. They're giving you a good product.
The only thing that makes me upset about the WNBA, and we know Key watches religiously, we do. So this isn't directed at you at all, Key. But the only thing that makes me bad about the WNBA is the fact that the lack of support from other women just kills me. Because if they had that support, like we support the NBA, if they had that support there on that end, no telling what the WNBA could do.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I'll say this. You know how you improve on that? You just keep engaging. You
Yep.
just keep putting out that content. Like I
Yep.
love that Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, Cameron Brink, and many others. They use their social media platforms to reach out and engage with fans, men, female. That's how you do that. I
Right.
think. And it's funny because we talk about this and what we do in podcasting. Engagement. That's the
Right.
key. It's all about engagement. And if they keep doing that, I think they will increase their female fan base.
I think they will too. All right. About quitting time here. For our time today here on Wire to Wire Network, I appreciate everybody coming out this morning, watching the show. Appreciate all the viewers, everybody in chat. Appreciate you guys. I will see you again next week on this show on Monday as well as on Sports Report. Mo, why don't you go ahead and take us on out?
Hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. Appreciate you, chat, Key, everybody in the house. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you guys.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week. We do appreciate you once again, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great day and take care.